Brothers, like many new Space Marine 2 players, I used to want nothing to do with Raveners. However, having gained some vital battlefield experience, I now rank them as one of my favorite enemies in the game. Why would you enjoy interacting with these filthy Xenos, one might ask? Well, because they make us better warriors, brothers. Let's start with general remarks. In order to enjoy Ravener fights, one must accept the purpose of the Ravener within the game. It is to break up your rhythm, to force you to reorient on the spot. 1 minute you're calmly delivering the Emperor's judgment to an entire horde, then suddenly you're dancing the tango with your mother-in-law just a second later. If that doesn't force you to improve your performance, what will? Forgive this flirtation with heresy, but we could all stand to be a little more like the Tyranids themselves, able to quickly adapt to changing conditions. Further, consider this. Like other enemies in the game, the Ravener is quite limited in its abilities. Once you commit to the fight, you only need to react correctly to a handful of attacks. The fight is really more about just a little bit of patience than dealing damage, in exchange for which you receive a reliable dose of dopamine. Let's analyze this enemy's behaviors. First, the initial engagement. As you know, the Ravener is likely to launch out of the ground, initiating a red attack, which, of course, requires a dodge. This is an excellent opportunity for some quick initial damage, as the timing is very relaxed. Give the Xenos maybe a half second at the top of its launch before you dodge, and you will be reliably rewarded with a gun strike. The Ravener might also start the party with a coiled strike. This opening is less common than the ground launch, and the timing is a little trickier, but the attack is blue, and so it can be parried, which is my recommendation. Delay for a moment when you see the marker, and initiate the parry when the Ravener begins closing the distance. Once they get moving, they approach very rapidly, so you'll need to act slightly ahead of time. Be warned, brother! Despite its great reach, the coiled strike can be launched even at point-blank range, in which case you will not have the benefit of seeing the change in distance to help you with timing. But the blue mark will still appear a long time before the strike. Now to the Tango. Annoying for newer players and welcomed by veterans because of its predictability, as its pattern never changes. The Ravener will signal its desire to dance by striking a pause with both its claws to the side. And then here we go, 2 strikes, pause, final strike. You'll need 2 parries in immediate succession, no pause, and then you need to wait for what feels like an eternity on the battlefield before finally hitting the 3rd parry for the gun strike. Parry, parry, pause, parry. The final attack is the most important. It will stagger you and do serious damage if it lands. However, thanks to the pause before it, you will be able to dodge or parry even if the first 2 attacks were successful. So never give up with a Ravener. Now for the most annoying behavior exhibited by this disgusting Xenos. It retreats underground. In my experience, there is a smaller chance of this happening if you maintain close proximity. Stay on top of him and you might be able to dictate the tempo of the fight. On lower difficulties, it is possible to stunlock the Ravener long enough to destroy it before it burrows again, but I find that nearly impossible on the 2 highest difficulties. Very likely at some point it will burrow during the fight, possibly more than once. If it remains close by while underground, you can observe its location by the trail of soil. Staying close or even on top of its trail will encourage it to re-emerge sooner and is a viable choice if you are not threatened by other foes. The re-emergence will be a red attack with a wide area of effect. A perfect dodge is possible, but frankly I have neglected developing this skill, as one cannot observe the enemy for clues. You have to rely on timing alone. Instead, I simply choose to dodge away once the red warning appears and re-engage the filth once it has come up. Annoying as it is, the burrowing behavior lends an extra dimension to the fight. The dimension of having the tension of split attention as you keep watch for the burrowed ravener while fending off its filthy friends. If the trail disappears, the burrowing bastard may even leave to attack another member of your squad or revisit you later. All you know is that it's alive and still on the hunt.
Ravener down!
And so, together with its frequently startling arrival, this is what makes the Ravener a brilliantly designed enemy, in my opinion. How it forces us to improve our skills, to work under tension, to multitask in the middle of a fight. It is able to keep us offbeat and attentive, camera rotating, finger on the trigger, even when it's not present. Brothers, when you next destroy a Ravener, thank the Emperor for the opportunity to fight a worthy foe.